Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Eberron, the Fifth Age, where we are concluding our prologue series, each of which has focused on our individual characters to establish their place in Sharn, the City of Towers. Tonight's game will focus on Rusty, played by Morton here. Would you like to... I did this with Chris. I think it's a good idea. Would you like to start by just giving a cursory description of Rusty?
Sure. So, like, physical description kind of thing? Or more like his vibe?
You don't have to. Mostly, I guess, physical description. You don't have to, like, tell his whole story or anything, but just to paint a visual image.
Cool. So, Rusty is a Warforged, which is a machine that is humanoid, is sentient, but was created specifically for war in the Great War across the continent. He's 7 feet tall, weighs 300 pounds, and he's a big, big metal boy. And he's just trying to find his new lot in life, basically. Now the war's over, what do you do if you're a war machine?
That is the question that Rusty would not be alone in trying to answer. So, let's jump in. The thundering sound of cannons fills your ears as you glance across the battlefield. Everywhere you look, there are soldiers clashing with the undead. The sound of blades meeting steel, clashing against wooden shields. Suddenly, a flash of light draws your eyes up. The sky is choked with smoke and dust, but you can make out above you the brilliant rings of crackling energy surrounding airships hidden in the clouds. Eldritch cannons firing dazzling blasts towards the earth that erupt, spewing dirt and bones into the air. To your right rises the massive Warforged Colossus, Karn Slayer. 10 stories tall, slow and lumbering. You watch as it brings its massive foot down, crushing some dozen skeletal forms under its weight. As it shifts to take another step, you can see some of the swarm trying to climb its massive leg, only to be peppered with arrows and bolts. Archers lean out over the battlements mounted all across its form, firing at those who try to attack Colossus. Though you've seen these mobile battle stations in the past, this is the first assault you've witnessed where one unleashed its full power. To your amazement, you watch as it holds still, peering downwards into the ranks of Sarnathi undead before it. And suddenly there's a feeling of wind rushing past you as if all the air was being sucked in, and then a sonorous blast as a massive red beam erupts from its eyes, carving a torrent of flame and destruction over 100 feet long through the shambling hordes. But as you well know by now, the forces of Karnath seem almost inexhaustible. Even now, you can see more of the slow-moving shapes positioning themselves to protect the wizards and wand slingers behind them, hurling flame and lightning from the back ranks. You're brought back to reality in the moment as one of those bolts of energy whizzes past your head. Your unit has broken through the lines on the northern flank, pushing across and trying to hem these forces in that have crossed the river that marks the border of Seer and Karnath. This is a desperate defense of the capital Metro, which lies to your south. In the heat of the battle, you look up and you see two of your fellow soldiers, the three-pointed crown of Seer on their tabards, rushing towards the figure whose wand has just hurled this blast of energy at you. A wizard, seemingly caught off guard as you have now broken past most of the undead on this side of the flank. And as the soldiers rush towards it, he reaches not for his wand, but to his belt, and he pulls out a dark plate of metal about 8 inches in diameter, tiered with a smaller ring on its top that creates an inner divot housing a glowing crystal. Make an Arcana check.
Arcana check. That's not the best check for me. Arcana. Ooh, 19. That's actually a nice. 20 minus 1. Boom. Starting off strong.
You recognize what this is, and alarm fills your mind as you know that this wizard, or perhaps artificer, is about to throw a blast disc forward. And he does so, launching it not at the soldiers rushing towards him, 2 or 3 of them, but at the ground in front of him as he begins to back up. The soldiers, trying to capitalize on the moment as the wizard fumbles for his wand again, getting ready for them to assault. They rush forward. The crystal in its center, in the disc center, begins to glow a faint orange and then blinks until that moment that the other soldiers get just a little too close. The crystal turns green, launches itself out of the disc from its base, hovers a few feet in the air, and then explodes in green flame, rolling out, flashing across your vision as you put a hand up momentarily. And as the dust settles, you can see now the forms of these Syrian soldiers blasted and destroyed on the ground. An odd green gas lingers in the air, sickly, as it sinks towards the ground. And to your horror, but perhaps not your surprise, those forms begin to rise once more. The soldiers stand on broken, twisted bodies, flesh blown off, blood still dripping down their armor, and a green light in their eyes as they heft their blades, come to a stand, and the wizard turns his attention towards you. Roll initiative, my friend.
Woo! All right. Initiative. Another 19.
Very good. I should probably get some dice out.
Started strong at a 20, then a 19. Next roll is going to be an 18. I can guarantee it.
We're going to count all the way down.
Yeah, in 20 turns, it's going to be rough.
What do you think the odds are of that?
Bad. Pretty astronomically bad. So I'm fighting. So it looks like these fellow seer soldiers.
Syrian.
They were human soldiers.
They were.
And they were taken out by this blast disc, and now they are being resurrected as some sort of undead.
There are 3 of them.
So they were my previous comrades.
Until moments ago.
War is hell, man.
Sure is. The good news is that you will have the first action. The undead form a line between you and the Necromancer. There is plenty of battle going on all sides of you, but this battle has become your own. What will you do?
How many undead baddies are there between me and the Necromancer?
3.
Okay. So, I've had a lot of battle training.
You have.
I think intrinsically, I would understand that the Necromancer is the one in charge, kind of like the commander. So it's pretty basic battle tactics to take out the commander first, to scatter the forces. So I think what I'm going to do is just fucking charge through him after the Necromancer and take some opportunity attacks.
It would be dangerous, a bold move.
I'm a shock trooper.
You can rush forward. There is about 30 feet of distance to this wizard, and you're going to have to pass through 2 of these undead, and they'll both get attacks at you. Is that what you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Going in. I got 30 feet of speed. Perfect.
What is your armor class?
18.
As you dash forward, jumping over the now sunken earth from the blast of that device, you leap over the newly formed ridge and jump to the side as one of these things slowly raises its arm, laboriously swinging wide. But as you do so, you're pushed into the second form, which reaches out with its arms and, swings with a 19 to hit you.
Ooh, that'll do it.
As he deals with a short blade 8 points of damage, scoring one of the delicate areas between your plated form. There are ligaments that you have. Your form is not entirely metallic, as any Warforged would know. There are living components inside of you that can be targeted, particularly at the joints, and it scores basically where your hip is, between the chassis there.
Yeah. Between the metal. So it's like metal, stone, and leather, basically, on the exterior.
You shrug off the pain to the best of your ability and push past the 3 forms turning to follow you, but you make it up to this wizard. As you do so, his eyes flash a brilliant white as you bring your blade down, presumably. Well, not your blade.
Hammer. I got a hammer.
Tell me, what are you doing as you rush up?
Eyes on the prize. It's all I've ever known is get on target, stay on target, get the bad guy. So I didn't even flinch when I got hit by that sword across me. I just know I gotta focus, do my job. So I'm just charging my warhammer just above my head. I'm gonna bring it straight down on him.
You do. You try to, but as you approach, his eyes begin to flash with that light, and a terror fills you. Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh. All right, come on, let's go for an 18. Wisdom. Saving throw. That's a +0. 17. Almost followed the trend. A 17 is a success as you shake off the attempt to intimidate your assault. Go ahead, roll an attack roll. Ooh. To hit. That's +5 to hit. It's a 7. That's a natural 2.
Unfortunately, the moment of hesitation generated by the surprise as his eyes flash that brilliant light, he steps to the side as you swing wide. The others are now closing in on you. He will take that wand, twirl it, and a light, sickly green flame will burst from its tip. Go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw.
20.
Very nice. You are able to... you do carry a shield, don't you?
No, not typically, but I guess is this like a war flashback? I might have one. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, you might have one. which is why I told you not to leave your inventory blank, which you insisted on doing. No, I guess you don't have one. Sorry, you made that choice.
It's fine. I mean, if I had one, my AC would be like 20, which would be absurd.
Pretty nuts for a first level or second level character. You successfully absorb this flame. It hits you in the chest, but you feel unfazed. The heat is not natural flame, and you feel no heat, and it washes over you. But there is no effect as it is caught on the extremely fit and sturdy breastplate that is your chest, protecting your vulnerable dark wood interior. Once more, the Acolyte will continue to back away from you, and again raise his hand, causing this light to shine from his eyes. That's when the skeletons start moving in. Oh, the undead. A lot of meat on these skeletons still. With an 18 to hit, as they close in on all sides, a 6 and a 15. So one of them will successfully surround you. They all successfully surround you. But one will successfully hit with another max damage roll of 8. And it's at that point, as they begin to close in around you, you can see the Acolyte trying to back away, which, by the way, I'm sorry. I believe you deserve an opportunity attack, as he does try to do that, if you can pass another wisdom saving throw.
I'm going to try. Oh, it's for the fear? Wisdom save 7.
You are not frightened. At least you don't have the frightened condition. However, the intimidation and the worry that now creeps into your mind, especially as these other enemies flank you, distracts you too much to take that attack of opportunity, as he backs himself away about 15 feet away from you and these skeletons that have now converged around you. Things are looking bleak, but it's at that moment that you hear a voice crying, 16! A blast will issue out from the lines to your side. The battle that is still raging on around you. You are far from the only soldier in this field. And one of them will take the skeleton nearest you, blasting the heck out of it. As this one that just came up to you and slashed at you, and it grabbed your arm for leverage, this blast takes it in the chest, shatters its form, and only the arm is left gripping yours. As it is destroyed, a little bit of smoke coming off of it. And it's at that point that you see form much like your own, massive Warforged, barreling of the lines as he rushes towards you. This is, as you can probably guess, J17D?
J17, my little brother.
J17D joins the battle!
How close is he to me at this point?
He is rushing to meet you. He has destroyed one of these creatures. And you know what? He will rush up and take a swing with the sword at his hip, actually, at another one, meaning that he has reached you. And he's going to be successful. And he's going to slice into one of these Syrian soldiers for 10 damage, although it remains standing.
Ooh, not bad, not bad.
And it is back to you, Rusty.
Can I take a free action and do, like, You know, in Predator, when Arnold Schwarzenegger does that big beefy high five. It's J17. Like we're gonna grab hands and like clink heads together, like yeah.
Sure, you can try to do that.
Do that, and I'll say, I'll take the commander. And then
Take him down, 16.
when I turn, and I charge at the Necromancer together with this new fire in me. I'm gonna take my second wind.
Very good, very good. And you'll heal, drawing on your reserves of energy.
Yeah, 1d10 plus 2. 10. 7. No, sorry, this is 6 plus 2. So I get 8 more points.
That puts you at what?
14.
14. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Imagining, usually he has green eyes, but when he gets his second wind and he gets really into his battle trance kind of mode, his eyes turn red. He gets that laser focus, and he just dashes at this guy again, the Necromancer, and tries to smash him with his hammer.
And perhaps you will after you make this wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom. Oh, it's a nat 1.
Once more, as you begin to move towards him, you can feel that fear. I mean, just seconds ago, you watched someone rush at this guy who underestimated him, and now they are undead, and you cannot help but be a little afraid of that fate. Although you're not sure if a Warforged can necessarily be made undead. You are unable to target, but you can redirect your attack to something else.
I can't target him.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that I can't get closer to him?
Technically, you can move. You can continue to move towards him, but this is the sanctuary spell essentially that he is casting on himself. And if you do not pass that save, then you must either change the target of your attack or lose your attack.
Can I do like a dodge action instead?
That is
that?
Yeah, the dodge action.
His face and just stay on my toes, ready to dodge his next spell.
Sure. The dodge action would mean that any attacks on you would be at disadvantage until the start of your next turn. Now, those are attacks. That doesn't affect spells with saving throws.
Ooh, fair enough.
So it could protect you from the undead Siren behind you, but probably not from his wand.
All right, I'm just gonna change my tact and say, I'll take out this other skeleton guy first.
Fair enough. And you may make a swing against that skeleton.
14.
A 14 is a hit. Go ahead, roll damage.
Six bludgeoning damage.
Do you have a bonus?
Yeah, it's a +3. I rolled a 3 +3.
Oh, it's a kind of odd formatting. I don't know why it's not formatting like you see how your attack roll is formatted, where you can see the modifier next to it. Okay, 6 damage. All right, and you can see that J17 is locked with one of them as he squares off with it, kind of circling it cautiously with his blade drawn. You take, in order to stop him from becoming outnumbered, you take a swing at the back of the other one whose attention is currently drawn to it. You crush into the pauldron, what's left of the pauldron on its shoulder, and you hear it collapse inwards, and you hear the sound of cracking bone on the inside of his shoulder at the base of his, and the neck kind of to the side as the shoulder collapses from the metal armor bending inwards. It is still up, however. Anything else? I know you used a bonus action.
Yeah, so I don't think I got anything else. That's the only bonus action I have is my second wind.
It is, although you have action surge, but you don't have to use it now if you want to.
Yeah, I'd want to say that for the Necromancer.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where is? Well, actually, we already said when he was, right? Yeah, we'll put him down here. All right. The wizard will once more. What will he do? Wizard, Acolyte, Necromancer. I have so many synonyms for this guy.
The big bad.
Let me actually read this. Oh yeah, you can actually do this. You will see him take his hands and raise them slowly as that light glows in his eyes, and some of that gas that is still kind of hovering just a few inches off the ground from that bizarre alteration of a standard blast disc. This necromantic fumes will rise as he raises his hands and condense as he swirls them to inhabit the undead Siren soldiers, bolstering them as they raise up. And he will heal them for 2 points each. You can see energy increase in their forms as they are made more lively, as they are enhanced by this necromantic power. And the one that you just smashed in the back turns its crooked neck and stares at you with its eyes glowing as its mouth begins to open. And I think it will go ahead and attack right now. With a natural 20. Oh boy. All right, please don't roll max again. Oh, I don't want to kill you. Oh my gosh, almost. For a total of 12 damage as this thing spins around and gets right in the space between your arm and your chest and stabs in with its short sword.
Yeah. Not down yet. I'm at 2. I'm glad I took that
second wind. Yeah. Never sleep on second wind, man. It's no good once you're unconscious, bro. The other one will continue its assault on J17. Also with a hit, shockingly. Didn't even need its bonus. And it will deal. Wow, they're using D6s. They haven't rolled under a 5 on any of their damages. They're like way above average for their damage, especially with the crit. They're like way above average. As it slashes across 17's shoulder, and he dances back, breathing deep. You can see a dark liquid begin to seep down his side, although his eyes stay focused as he prepares to strike again, which it's actually his turn. He will. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Just enough. Actually, all right. The luck is turning. He will retaliate, roaring as he brings his arm up, knocking the short blade aside from the soldier in front of him, and bring his blade down straight on its head, bisecting it as it splits on either side, and you can see the light in those eyes just go out as the form crumples once more. That was lucky. Got just enough. He'll look to you and shout, 16! We must end this! And you can see that there are plenty more now coming over the ridge that leads to that river. Not necessarily focused on the two of you, but the battle rages on. And if you two don't get back to your unit and get in formation, this is going to be a disaster. All right, go ahead. It's your turn.
Question is, do I go for the wizard or do I retreat?
Half your enemies have fallen. And you know that wizards are squishy.
I'm going for the wizard. I think that's what Rusty would do. This is his one job. And if Rusty does anything in this world, he does his job well.
Go for it.
I'm going for the wizard.
Give me that wisdom saving throw.
Come on, wisdom. Nat 3.
Unfortunately, his power is too dominating. It is of sheer force of will that he projects onto your mind, and it paralyzes you from being able to assault him.
I say, we need to regroup, and then I guess there's like our side of the battle. I guess we should head that way, away from the Necromancer. Or is it like another?
There's the massive Colossus that you could try to retreat toward. Yeah.
Get under the Colossus, and then I'm gonna, I guess, disengage if I'm still in his area.
You're actually closer. Disengaging is a good idea. It's not the wizard who's going to attack you, but it's the final Syrian soldier that would.
I don't want to take an opportunity attack because he might kill me.
Disengage and start charging back towards your lines. You can see there are more Syrians locked in battle. Much of the thrust is centered around the feet of that Colossus, who is just pushing forward through the lines, which is effective as it continues to just zoom, this gigantic laser just mowing down undead. But what happens when a force pushes into the center of an opposing force is that the outsides are forced to fall and to expand out, and that's where you are on the flank. So their successes in the center are only making your situation more dangerous as you rush past the undead, turning your back and praying that nothing hits you. It's at this point that as you rush forward, you see that Colossus in the distance, and there's crackling of lights and blasting and noise all around you. And then a flash. Not just what was in the sky, not some of the artillery landing, not the beam coming from Cornslayer's perilous gaze, but something in the distance, something beyond, something in the direction of Metro. A brilliant light, like a column into the sky, and then flashes outwards. And it continues to progress towards you, unfurling rapidly at a speed that you can barely comprehend. It's in a split second, this massive wall of fog blasts back, and as it does, not just your eyes, almost everything is stopped. As many faces turn, even the Cornslayer looks at this impending mist rushing towards you. Now the blast of air from this distant explosion is reaching you, a roaring sound as it finally travels across the distance. And you hear this sonorous blast come from the Cornslayer as it brings its hands up to shield its form and drops to one knee, creating a huge wall, a barrier, and this fog blasts across the front of its form. You can see it washing over it, pouring around its sides, but it creates a small bubble, shielding some of the Syrian soldiers, including yourself and 17, who are now rushing up from the initial massive blast, which wraps around, covering the battlefield, making it almost impossible to see as this fog raises up. You can only see maybe 20 feet tops ahead. You can still hear the chaos of battle, but then eventually a silence washes over. This was the final day that you fought in the last war. The chaos of the retreat from that battlefield, the fog eventually rising, the form of Karnslayer destroyed by the blast it absorbed. One of the last memories you have of that battlefield was seeing just the upper half of the Karnslayer laboriously pulling itself with just one arm, its legs collapsed and shattered and left in twisted earth. What followed was perhaps almost a month of travel through the nightmarish, twisted land that was once Seer. You and J-17 and the other members of the troop that you fought in knew that it would be too dangerous to flee into Karnath, where you would probably be taken as prisoners. And so you were forced to travel south. South to the main road that leads to Metrol. And I'm trying to find the map. That leads from Metrol to Calazart to Vatherond and the border into Breland. What little you saw as you approached Metrol was too terrifying. The land was twisted, chasms with light glowing from them, spirits regularly arising. You were forced to travel stealthily, retreating constantly from terrible, twisted, undead, spectral beings, and living spells, aberrant magics and energy, trapped in the mists of the Mournland, animated, striking out. Not all of you made it. Many of you did not. But eventually, reaching the edge of what was once Seer, you made it out of those mists to Vatherond, into Breland, and eventually to Shar. That was years ago. And as all of these memories are flashing through your mind, you're finally brought back to the present by a familiar voice, kind of calling to you. Rusty! 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 What happened there?
I was right here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you looked a little distracted. Before you stands a middle-aged halfling woman, blonde hair, cut short, graying. And as she walks up to you, you suddenly recall that you have been standing here with this massive briefcase in your arms for probably a couple minutes now, as these memories came back to you. Says, Rusty, what are you doing? You look a little
Just got a little caught in the past for a moment.
Feeling okay? She looks up at you.
Same as I usually do.
There's a concerned small smile as she knows that you're putting on a brave face, as she can guess, and knows that you have been quite troubled. You know, Rusty, if you're not feeling up to it, it's okay. I could have someone else take Mr. Alleran's baggage upstairs.
No, I can handle it. I know that customer service is our #1 priority.
Yes, Rusty. Yes. Customer service. We look after those who come here, and one of the people who comes here is you, Rusty. And you'll do your best if you're at your best. Are you sure you're feeling at your best?
No.
Well, at least you're honest. Listen. I'm afraid I have some troubling news. You remember the anvil where you were before?
Mm-hmm.
Something happened last night. Well, I'm about to go into a meeting to discuss some of the aftermath. Seems that there was an attack. And you do remember the end. Before Rosalind de Ghallanda, the dragon-marked halfling that sits before you, before she recruited you to work here at the Grey Dragon Inn in Upper Central, a very fancy and upper class sort of a hotel, kind of. Before she recruited you here, your first couple of jobs were a little less classy. After all, Warforged are not often seen here in Upper Central, one of the wealthiest districts in Sharn. Initially, when you came on with House Ghallanda, you had been employed as a bouncer in Lower Dura, one of the least wealthy districts in Sharn, at an old Ghallanda inn called the Anvil, where you worked as a bouncer. However, after time being unhappy with that position, you finally pushed your way through to, I guess, the HR department of House Ghallanda and met Rosalind, who took a chance on you and helped you get out of that position to where you are now.
I like to imagine that I'm wearing like a bellhop uniform, and like I've tried to do up my appearance to like make myself seem as friendly as possible, basically.
Yes, you are wearing a bellhop uniform. It is dark velvet with blue trim down the sides of it, and on the breast as a what do you call that? An emblem, a patch bearing the blinking dog, the blink dog, which is the symbol of House Ghallanda. This entire uniform is stretched absurdly thin across your massive form. It is. I mean, to you, it's not uncomfortable. Feeling tight cloth across your body is nothing, but it is far from your first uniform, as many have been destroyed if you don't bend down just right.
I also like to imagine that some Warforged don't actually have facial expressions. So I kind of imagine that like he's fashioned himself some like eyebrows that like look kind of friendly.
What out of?
I don't know, like scrap metal or something. Like he's trying to put a good face on. He doesn't want to look scary.
Do they move?
Only if it like grabs him and moves him.
A prudent choice, actually, as eyebrows go a long way to humanize the face. However, they do look odd as they essentially kind of frame, or perhaps you call even more attention to unintentionally, your gulra, the symbol which is etched into the forehead of every Warforged. And you kind of hope that your occasionally wiggling eyebrows will distract from this, but it probably does just the opposite sometimes.
He's just trying his best to be a good customer service representative.
And as you shift those eyebrows a little bit, trying to give a smile for Rosalind, she says, "Well, Akandra, you remember Akandra, right? The bartender?" Mm-hmm. And you do. Well, she told me today. Seems some of the Dakani or Basque, perhaps. Well, they came in and made quite the scene at the anvil. I know it's not what you wanted, but I can't help but think it would have been nice to have you there. Well, I'm having a meeting. This doesn't bode well.
What happened? Who attacked? And why?
Well, we can't say for sure yet, but it was almost certainly Dask. As you know, that inn is, well, we maintain it as much as it's an inn, but the truth is it's not exactly a very profitable place. Not many with a lot of money are interested in staying in Lower Dura. The real business that goes on at the anvil is that done by Clan Boromar. And that would explain why Dask was there. And you can make a history check to see how much you know about these groups.
Do I know who Dask is?
We're about to find out.
I got a -1 to history. Let's go. That's a nat 1 -1. That's a 0.
You have no idea, unfortunately.
So I just kind of nod and be like, Dask, I understand.
Well, the Boromar clan is obviously quite upset. And Counselor Elira Boromar will be meeting with me, along with Counselor Bufferdura. In fact, I think that's them now. Whoa.
Hold up, I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, I think Discord kind of cut out there for a second. I said, Boromar clan is definitely not happy with this incursion, and it's not the first of its kind, though perhaps one of the most flagrant. The anvil is well known to be under protection of the clan. And so I'll be meeting with... Am I cutting out still? I just saw that Discord. Oh, no. Yeah. Let me take a look here.
You doing a push to talk?
No. Like no, I'm not. It's just Discord. I think maybe the connection isn't very good right now. I don't know. I've got green bars. You got green on Discord?
I think so.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I saw it was kind of freezing up once or twice there. All right, what was the last thing you heard? Because I tried to get through the same part twice.
Some Bormar clan is unhappy because something something.
Because of Dast raiding the anvil. And she says, this isn't the first time that they've butted heads, but it may be one of the most audacious assaults to date. Dask has been challenging them more and more. I don't always support what the clan does, but we halflings do stick together, and they've served as reasonably good partners at the Anvil, for the most part, protecting it from some of the seedier elements of Dura, at least up until now. So I'll be meeting with some of the counselors to discuss perhaps increasing the defenses there. In fact, I think that's them now, she says. And you can see crossing the lobby that you're in of this quite ritzy hotel are two women, one halfling. She wears a rich red robe with puffy golden lapels, sort of, except not just, I don't know what you call it when it's not just the chest lapel, but running down the edges of this robe. Yeah, the liners, this puffy golden kind of soft material. And no shortage of jewelry on this halfling. The other human woman, dark hair, tied back, sphere look to her face, wearing a sleek kind of a business suit almost, of vaguely elvish design, and it's cross-cut where it folds. My shirt's too tight to really do this, but where it folds at an angle down to the hip as they approach. And Rosalind rushes up to meet them, and you can tell. She says, Counselor Tavin, Counselor Boromar, I'm sorry to be meeting under these circumstances, but it is, of course, always a pleasure to have you both here at the Grey Dragon. And the halfling sort of nods and says, Rosalind, pleasure, of course, yes. Quite nice here still. You've maintained it extremely well. Just thank you. Thank you. Well, we've prepared a meeting, sort of the office here, if you'd like to join me. And the Counselor Tavin says, yes, we should make this as quick as possible. As they head off, go ahead and make an insight check.
Insight? (18 + 2, 20).
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that Rosalind is a bit nervous under these circumstances. These were both mentioned as counselors. You can make a history check.
I'm just taking notes. History check. All right. 12. 13 minus 1.
Not terribly high, but these are public figures. So I'll say that that's enough to recognize that Counselor Thavin, that these are both counselors of Sharn. There is a counselor for each ward and district of the city, which I believe means that there's a total of like 15 counselors or something like that. Counselor Thavin represents Upper Dura, and Counselor Illyra Boromar represents Lower Dura, where the Anvil is. These are pretty much the highest. Well, there is, of course, the King of Breland, but for the government of the city of Sharn, these are pretty much the highest political figures. These counselors. So this is a big deal that they're here and meeting with House Ghallanda.
They take any notice of me, or am I just standing there holding a suitcase?
You're just standing there holding a suitcase. Perhaps there is a faint look of surprise on on particularly, I would say, Thora Tavin's face. This is not a surprise to you, though. You get looks like these fairly often here in Upper Central. It is not common to see a Warforged in such a setting, and you perhaps stand out especially more considering that much of the staff here are halflings. You could not be more the inverse of the common staff here.
Like 3 times the size of most of them.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just standing there, and I'm looking to Rosalind, waiting for her.
Oh, she's headed off. She's headed off to this meeting at this point. However, it's as she's leaving that you hear a voice calling from that entrance into the lobby and saying, "Excuse me, sir, are you? Can I help you?" And you turn to see a large Warforged marching confidently through the lobby and approaching the desk as a doorman kind of follows behind him and says, "Are you here for a room?" And the halfling woman behind the desk says, "Don't worry, I'll take it from here. Sir, can I help you?" And you hear the voice, "I am looking for my compatriot, J16. I understand he's employed here."
So I heard all that?
Yeah.
I walk up and say, "Younger brother, it's good to see you."
He turns and looks at you and says, "Younger by what? Couple of minutes?"
Younger, still younger.
16.
You know I don't go by that anymore.
You look ridiculous, he says, kind of glancing at your super tight, probably busting at the seams bellhop outfit and the briefcase still clutched in your arms.
I look professional, and you know it.
If you're not dressed professionally, where are your weapons? Where is your uniform? And
we don't need weapons anymore. We've talked about this. There's no point.
There's no point without. This is what we were made for, 16. And he taps the blade at his hip, which you see is unlike when, unlike when you served together in the last war. There is the pommel bears the Chimera of House Ghallanda. I've come to find you. There's something urgent. I'm gonna need your help. And it's not with luggage.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you because I have luggage at the moment.
16, this is important. It's about S3R. And you know that name. She was a fellow Warforged that served with you. She's an S model, a scout. And she survived as well through the day of the Mourning. Last you heard, she was still working with 17.
So she worked with House Ghallanda?
Mm-hmm. With the blade marks.
What have you heard? Where is she? Where are they? Where is S3R?
He kind of looks around back and forth, says, "This isn't the place. Come with me."
Can you give me 10 minutes and I'll be there?
10 minutes for what?
I have to deliver this luggage to provide a satisfactory customer service experience.
I knew you were going to say it. 16, this is serious. The luggage can wait. Someone else can take it. I mean, you must be joking, right?
This is why I have a good job and you do not.
If you insist, then we'll be waiting outside.
All right. I take the luggage to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, it's a couple like pretty much all buildings in Sharn. This hotel, the Grey Dragon Inn, is a spire, almost all of which are inevitably required to spiral on themselves, leading to staircases being the bane of the average citizen's existence in Sharn. Which is why I suppose you have a job carrying big, heavy stuff up and down stairs, and it's a couple of flights to go up, and you leave them at the door of the appropriate room. You give a knock, and a posh-looking gentleman kind of opens the door and says, and with surprise as he opens it, you can see that as soon as he opened it, he was looking down. He's looking at your legs, and then he follows them up to you, clearly not expecting someone like you.
I put the luggage down, and I reach in my bag, and I put a little mint on it, like at a nice hotel, and say, "Please enjoy your stay at the Grey Dragon Inn." And then I turn, and I walk away.
I will, thank you. As he kind of sheepishly grabs his things and pulls them inside. Okay, I'm sure we'll go down and meet with J17, but I think we should go ahead and take a break here because something kind of odd is happening with my audio, and I want to take a second and kind of work on it. And we're at about that time. We've gone for about an hour here, so let's go ahead and take a break. And I'm going to see if I can figure this out because it's being kind of weird.
Cool. Yep.
All right.
5 minutes or something.
5 to 10.
5 10. Cool.
Alrighty, we will be back. Alrighty, we are back. Okay, you finish up delivering the luggage as you so dutifully insisted upon doing.
This is a good job. I'm not going to lose this job. I want to make Rosalind proud.
As a committed Ghallandan, you delivered your goods and made your way back down. The halfling behind the desk sees you as you're leaving and says, "Rusty, you taking off early?"
I'll be back in a few. Just taking a little break. I have to go talk to my friend outside.
Okay. Whatever you need.
I'll be back. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I trust you, Rusty. It'll be fine.
And I bow deeply, and then I leave.
There's that look of like, but a smile. As your coworkers know, have mostly learned that you're pretty much harmless, but they do definitely view you as an oddity.
Yeah, he's trying his hardest, but he doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, exactly. But you make your way outside, and 17 is waiting for you there. Did you get your tip?
I don't require tips. This isn't that sort of establishment.
Well, I'm glad to see you working so hard, dancing to the tune of halflings.
What's wrong with halflings? They're people, just like us.
Nothing. But there is something wrong with menial labor. You were built for something better than that. You know it.
I was built for something much worse than this. What's the problem? Where is S3R? Are they in trouble? What do you need? I need to get back to work pretty soon.
I'm not sure where she is, but it's safe to say that she is in trouble. Yes. I got this last night, he says, and he extends his hand and opens it up. And inside you can see a tiny mechanical device. It's quite small in the palm of his hand. It looks like a sphere, but as he holds it there, small sections of it sort of unfold, and mechanical wings almost kind of come out of it, not quivering into flight, but instead arching and kind of propping itself up on its wings as two small legs as it lifts itself up to stand in his palm. You can make an Arcana check to see if you recognize this device.
Arcana. 19 minus 1.
Yeah, absolutely. This is known as a final messenger. It is a device that only Warforged can use. And seeing it means that S3R is in a lot of trouble. You know that this device is essentially a failsafe that activates only when the Warforged is knocked unconscious. It's like an emergency protocol.
Emergency broadcast system.
Sort of.
What is it? Does it go seek out another Warforged, or is it like?
It is designed to have a targeted recipient that it will fly to and deliver the final vision of the Warforged who has been presumably destroyed. And it was regularly equipped to scout models like S3R.
When did you get this?
A couple of hours ago.
Well, what was the vision? What did it say?
You can see for yourself if you like.
I would. How do I check? Do I just pick it up?
You pick it up and you reach behind your head to the space where the more vulnerable dark wood material, the organic material that forms your neck, and you reach behind and you insert it up into the metal carapace that is your head, and you basically lodge it into the back of your skull. As you can feel those wings sort of lock into place and integrate with your body, and your vision is covered into a still image. What you see is a very dark and enclosed space with orange light sort of cast across metallic walls. The vision is clearly, the form of S3R was clearly on her side, on the ground, and looming over her is a woman. There's a smile on her face, like a look of sick satisfaction, as she bends towards the camera One hand holds a blade. It's almost translucent. Perhaps a faint glow that's really just it catching the light, as it looks like it's made of some kind of crystal. Across her chest is the Chimera of Denieth on her breastplate, and the other hand reaches towards and beyond the frame of this image, as if reaching towards the back of the head.
So I've recognized the person as somebody from House Ghallanda.
That's a safe guess. You can recognize the Chimera, yes.
Don't know anything about this blade. Does it look familiar at all? Like, or is it like a magical blade, particularly?
Unfortunately, you have no idea about that.
And then the message ends.
It's just an image. It's the final thing that S3R saw.
All right, take the messenger back out of my head. Do we have any idea where she is? How do we find her? She looks like she's definitely in trouble.
Well, it's clear from the messenger that she was somewhere in the Cogs. The Cogs are massive, and they sprawl under the entirety of the city. More specifically, I can't say. What troubles me even more, that woman.
She looked like she was part of your house. I look like kind of judgingly at his sigil of Denieth.
Yes. Which is why I have to come to you. That is Lalia, or perhaps Tazra de Denieth. I can't be sure. They're twin sisters.
Lalia,
Dragon marked.
Tazra?
Lalia and Tazra de Denieth.
Do you know how to find these twins?
Oh, finding them would not be terribly hard. They all pass through the 3 towers frequently enough. I've seen them before. But these are dragon-marked heirs. Sentinel marshals. I'm just a blade mark. There's no way I could confront this.
Why not? S3R seems to be in trouble. They would be the ones to ask. Is your station so low that you're not allowed to speak?
Rusty, I'm a mercenary. They are of noble lineage. The top of the house. It is not impossible. We're going to need more evidence before I could even begin to make a claim publicly against a dragon-marked heir.
Then what do you suggest as our course of action? Do we search for S3R?
Combing through the cogs would be a fool's errand. They're massive, practically unending. In fact, I'm not sure if anyone knows how deep they go. But I know where we could start. S3R has been working at Cogs the last few years now. She didn't stay with me in the blade marks for long. And while the both of you seem to have forgotten the core, I have not. The watch will do nothing for one more Warforged missing in the Cogs. We are ill-loved here. It falls to me and you, 16.
And we shall find her.
Good.
After business hours, of course.
16, you can't be serious. This is a matter of life and death.
You may be right. I may have to resign my post if I cannot fulfill my duties. We give me a minute, and then I go back inside.
If a Warforged could have a look of disbelief, he'd have it. But instead, there's a stiffening of the back of like.
This guy, he takes his job very seriously. He's not just gonna walk out, but he knows he's gotta go. So he's gotta do the honorable thing and resign.
You're gonna quit? Okay, all right, go ahead.
Go back into the counter. What was that guy's name at the counter?
His name is Felon.
Felon.
I'm sorry, I said his name is Felon.
Felon. I walk up to Felon and I slowly start taking off my uniform so as not to rip it, very gingerly. And then I fold it, put it nicely on the counter to say, Felon, I need to go. However, I know my shift is not complete. So therefore, you must fire me.
Rusty, what are you talking about? Are you feeling okay?
Yes, a friend of mine needs my assistant at the moment, and I cannot assist him and also this inn. Therefore, I must leave.
Rusty, it's okay if you need to take like a sick day or something. I mean, you seemed a little out of it in there.
I'm not sick. That would be a lie.
Okay. Are you asking me to fire you?
No. I just assumed that's what you would do.
Rusty, if you're having an emergency, it's okay. You've been pretty reliable for us. Just go.
Okay. I will be back. Can I take the uniform?
Sure. It's your uniform, Rusty.
And then I gingerly put the uniform back on very carefully.
It's just
It takes
a real pain. Yeah, it's a real pain. And it's all like, as soon as you unfold it, it's like so loose and stretched, and it's like threadbare at the seams, trying to go back together. Says, Rusty, let me give you a little hand, and he kind of waves his hand, and the cloth sort of stitches itself together and tightens up a little bit.
I will make it up to you for my negligence of duty, and then bow again, and then I'll walk out.
Okay. And you walk out with conflicted feelings as Felon is just kind of like, what was that about? As you clearly take this like way more seriously than anyone else does.
I go back outside and say, I got the day off. Let's go.
Well, I'm glad you were able to arrange your affairs, make a little time for an old friend.
Me too.
Good. And he'll gesture and start to lead you. He'll lead you through. Right now, you are in Platinum Heights. It's mostly a mercantile district. This is one of the wealthiest districts in Sharn. Really, Upper Central can only be topped by the Skyways, a city above the city. While Sharn's towers seem to stretch endlessly into the clouds, the Skyway is literally in the clouds as it floats above the city, separated from the rest of it, where only the truly wealthy can afford to live, let alone regularly visit, as it requires sky coaches, which aren't terribly unaffordable, but to be doing on a regular basis. That's primo costs. And he leads you through the markets. Through the markets of Platinum Heights. South. Passing through Coronath, a religious financial district, the Mithril Towers, the highest towers, eventually to the bridge that extends from the central district to Memphis Plateau, where you pass through the university. This is Moorgrave University, the one of the largest centers of education in Eberron. And he takes you there to a lift, one of the many magical elevators that can take you downwards out of the upper ward. Here we are. Multitasking! And you descend from the university district down into Everbright, down further into a place called Centerbridge, named aptly as it leads finally back into Cavik's Landing. Cavik's Landing would be the place, the district where you first arrived. In fact, you are being led essentially to where you entered the city. Almost. You are being led ultimately as you curve northwards through Cavik's Landing towards Rowan's Gate, where you first came to Sharn. But before Rowan's Gate is Cogs Gate. This is a commercial district full of warehouses, and it is the entranceway to the Cogs, and more specifically Blackbone, one of the regions of the Cogs.
So is this where S3R works?
In Blackbone's below, yes. She is not alone. Many of our Warforged brethren are working here below the earth, where the others are not forced to look upon us, he says with some scorn in his voice. And as you reach sorry. There we go. As you reach this district, you can begin to smell the sort of sulfuric smell kind of suffusing, coming upwards around you. And it only becomes stronger as you approach one of the many large archways leading downwards into the Cogs. And as you approach this archway, you can see that there is a crowd gathering there. There are.
Go I
ahead.
don't think Warforged can smell, so I don't notice the sulfur.
You can smell. You have senses. You have all the senses.
Do I? Oh,
Yeah.
I know you can't eat.
Well, yeah. Perhaps not to, as you don't eat, because you don't need to eat to live. But yeah, you have access to the other senses. I don't want to set a dangerous precedent of you not having senses. I mean, because if I say you can't smell because you don't have a nose, well, you don't have ears either. Can you hear things? Yes, you can hear things.
Cool. Just gained a new ability, sense of smell.
A significant improvement over your real lives. No, you can smell the sulfur. Perhaps you're not as sensitive as some. But
so there's a crowd gathering. Do I see what they're gathering for?
Yes, you can see that many of them have signs. Actually, there are mostly humans. There are some dwarves there, and there is shouting. And as you get closer, you begin to hear some of the things they're saying. No war! No Warforged! Bring industry back to the people of Sharn! And you can hear these protesters as you begin to approach. 17 kind of... I guess you can't spit. But you hear a sound of disgust as he kind of scoffs.
He makes the sound... and nothing comes out.
he kind of... What did I tell you, brother? We are ill-loved here. And as you get closer and make your way towards the gateway, many of them begin jeering at the two of you. More scrap buckets for the heap? You're not welcome in Sharn!
Well, you're always welcome at the Grey Dragon Inn.
What?
Do I have, like, business cards or something?
Sure.
Like little tokens. Here, this is a discount. I only give this out to people who I think deserve it. And I give them, like, little, like, 10% off the next stay at the Grey Dragon Inn cards.
You hand a couple of them out, and one of the dwarves kind of looks at it and looks at you and says, "They let you in Central?"
They do, and they would let you as well.
Of course they would. I have a place here.
We all have a place here.
No. You have no place. You're a tool of destruction. This world has outgrown you. You're a threat to the peace of the Five Nations.
I think I get a sense that I'm not going to win this argument with this guy. So I just say, well, I politely disagree, sir or madam, and then I deeply bow.
I guess those eyes aren't built too well, huh? Caneth and their damn meddling. I'm a man, for the record.
Nice to meet you.
And while they will shout and protest, there are a series of armed guards watching the archway and watching the protest. And while perhaps a stone or two is tossed in your direction, they will not forcefully stop you from entering into the Cogs. As you pass some members of the Watch.
Yeah, we're just going to keep going.
And 17 will continue to lead you deeper. You're descending now into a narrower, somewhat, especially for someone your height, claustrophobic area. You can, as you descend, counter to your expectations, it actually begins to get warmer. A heat as you've been traveling for maybe 15 minutes going through the labyrinthine pathways that are the cogs. The heat that you begin to feel is not terribly troubling to you, but you know that it would be quite uncomfortable for someone with skin. To you, it is more bearable, and some of that sulfuric kind of smell and smoke that seems to waft up is something that might choke the other races, but for you is bearable, is manageable. And as you make your way down, 17 will turn to you. Is this your first time in the Cogs?
I think it is.
It's a shame. I'm not sure what caused you to reject your brothers, but if you would see the other Warforged in the city, you must come to the Cogs. It is the only place where we are accepted, albeit only because we live here as beasts of burden.
First of all, we're not all rejected in the city. And second of all, some of us are accepted throughout the city.
Is that what you think you are? Accepted? 16, you are tolerated.
Well, that's the first step, isn't it? There's a place for us here, and it doesn't need to be underneath the boot of everyone else.
The place for us is on the field of battle. All you should be asking yourself is which field that is.
What happens when there's no more battles to be fought?
That is not a time I foresee.
Then you do not look far enough into the future.
And you do not look clearly enough into the present. Even now, the peace, the Treaty of Thronehold, is wavering. It is tenuous at best. And even if there is no outright war, there is always work for those who know the blade. And he holds his hilt with pride as he says so.
And there will always be work for those in hospitality and customer service. And then I grab my business cards, like mirroring his action. People will always need places to stay and a friendly face at the end of a long day.
Is that why you've put those ridiculous things on your face? He says, looking up at your forehead.
Raise one of them up quizzically, like, oh, you mean these?
Yes.
People like these. I'm a hit at parties now.
I suppose you'll be a hit below that.
Just let me know, I'll make you a pair. They weren't hard.
Why would I want to make myself look more like what I'm not? I do not feel the need to comfort the other races. I am not ashamed to be a Warforged. I will not assimilate. I will stand proudly. Now, let us find our brothers and sisters. They are below at the Red Hammer.
Do I know who the Red Hammer is?
You can make a history check.
Sure. That's a nat 1 minus 1, 0.
Nope. You know what a hammer is. You know what the color red is. Yeah, that's
All
what
right,
you know.
We'll go, but I don't know what a weapon will do to help us.
It is no weapon. It is a gathering place for the Forged. One of the few where we meet together.
And do we all take turns with the hammer?
There is no hammer save the one that Smith carries with him always.
Then let's go see Smith.
And he'll lead you further down. You pass through. This is a very industrial area, and as you get lower, you begin to hear the sounds of industry. You can feel tremors passing through, vibrating through the often metallic flooring and walls around you. This is a constructed area, and you get the sense of massive weight, huge machines that are operating below. And indeed, eventually, you pass the narrow corridor opens, at least at sections, sometimes granting you views of shockingly immense open areas where huge machines operate, massive smelteries where you can see huge vats of molten metal being made or poured and led down lines that feed into a secondary part of the machine, forming them into various shapes, making large pipes and rebars. This is the industry that sustains the massive metropolis above you. The gears are always turning in the cogs, and you see below working these machines almost exclusively Warforged, pushing the carts, turning these massive gears, pulling levers to pour that steel or iron. This is the largest factory zone spread out across an entire area under the city, and it never sleeps. But he leads you through venues. Is that the right term? Vistas. Vistas such as that more than once. And eventually takes you to a building, a door. Everything is this is all subterranean, so a building is not necessarily going to stand alone with a ceiling and four walls, but he leads you, and there is a door with a sign outside of it in one of these many corridors, these branching pathways, which, by the way, your first time here, it would be tough for you to find your way back out. It's hard. There's no sky. There's almost no points of reference.
I'm in deep at this point.
Literally. But the sign shows a hammer glowing red as if it had just been pulled from a forge. And it says the red hammer hanging outside this door.
And who do we expect to find in here?
Like I said, our brothers and sisters. Blue and Crucible and Smith and many others. And perhaps they will know where S3R was.
Then let's find out.
And as he opens it, you are stepping into a perhaps untraditional tavern? There are perhaps a dozen, maybe even 20 Warforged here. They are, you can see in one corner, some seem to be playing a game. There is a light music coming from a device in the corner, and you can see one Warforged kind of idly plucking a string as he listens to the music of a lute. And he's not exactly an accompaniment, but he seems to be sort of counting to himself and striking a note here or there. And there is a bar. There is a place with stools where several are sitting. They're talking with each other. And there are two behind that bar. But there are no tankards. There are no drinks. There is no food. There is just the soft sound of chatter. The games being played, the music. And a few eyes turn towards you as the door opens. And one of the forged behind the counter sort of looks up and waves. 17! Welcome back. Come, have a seat. As she gestures towards the end of the bar.
I guess I follow 17's lead.
Yeah, he'll go up and take a seat at the bar. You can see as you approach this forged behind the counter. She's smaller than the two of you. You are both J class, I believe, right? You are some of the most hulking shock troop designed Warforged, but you are not the only model out there. This one is a little smaller than you, less bulky. Not her. Your shoulders and legs are kind of like tree trunks wrapped in steel, right? She is larger than almost any human, but she's splitting the difference. She's much more reasonable, and the clothes that hang on her, while there would certainly be some of the largest clothes a human could buy, she doesn't bust out of them the way that you do your bellhop uniform.
Mm.
And you can see that the material that forms her faceplate and her arms where they show is a dark blue. It almost could be, from a distance, could be confused with a simple gray, but as you get close and you see the light reflect off of it, there is that blue sheen to it.
Does that signify anything that, like, I'm familiar with? Is it like a certain house has blue kind of thing?
You can make an Arcana check.
It's another nat 1 -1. Started so strong.
Yeah, you did. 20. Yeah, 20, 19, 17, right?
Then I've had 3 nat 1s -1 so far.
Even with a 0, you know that just simply the color blue is not enough to be associated with a given guild or something like that. I mean, presumably the color blue is involved in some heraldry, but it alone is not enough to tip you off to any like association with some faction.
Right.
You're not sure what it is. You're not blue.
Fair enough. I guess I address this bartender type person. They're like a smaller class. I say, hello, my name is Rusty.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Rusty. I'm Blue. Welcome to the Red Hammer. 17. Been a while since you came by. Perhaps I'm tired of hearing Smith prattling on all the time. Well, can't say that most of us aren't a little tired, but, well, he certainly earns his keep here.
Is Smith the one playing the lute?
No. Smith is over there. And she points to the corner, and you can see that he is there, not alone. He's with another Warforged, and it looks like he's working on the Warforged. There's a set of tools laid on the table there, as the Warforged across from him lays his arm out on the table and holds his hand out. And you can see that he's doing adjustments.
Have you met, what's the name, S3R before? Do you know of S3R?
I see you've been hanging out with this one too much. Her name is Stepper.
Stepper.
She doesn't like going by S3R anymore. But you must have known her.
I knew her a long time ago.
Couldn't have been that long.
As far back as I remember.
Yes. Those were hard times for us all, I think. Yes, I know Stepper.
When was the last time you saw her? She has gone missing. Do I have the messenger thing still?
Yeah.
I just pull out the final messenger and be like, look at this.
As you pass it forward, she takes it, holds it, and there's no look on her face, but you can sort of hear a sigh, a shrugging of the shoulders, a thinking as she holds it and looks down at it. So, something's happened to her, I take it?
That's what we're here to find out.
It wasn't sent for me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should look at it, she says, placing it back on the table. If she'd wanted me to see it, then it would have come to me. But I'm sorry to hear this.
She's gone missing. And her last vision seemed to show that she was somewhere in the Cogs.
Well, she'd hardly be the first.
What do you mean?
You don't come down here often, do you? I've never seen you here.
Not as often as I'd like.
Well, you're fortunate you found work outside the Cogs. No, she wouldn't be the first Warforged to disappear. Many have. Some vanish in the Cogs. Others, remains are found, parts being sold by the Ghallanda scavengers. Others seem to leave the city on their own. Many go east, searching for the Lord.
The Lord?
The Lord of Blades, they call him.
I've heard that myth.
And what have you heard?
I've heard that Warforgeds who cannot find a place go in search of the Lord of Blades.
That does seem to be the case, and many of us cannot find our place here. Those who are unhappy being ground to dust here in the cogs. As far as the Lord is concerned, well, there's hardly any consensus on who he is. Some say he's the first Warforged born with the spark, the oldest and wisest made by Aaron Decanus' own hand. Others claim it's Aaron himself, using the Warforged as a way to regain control of the house. Some claim that he is older still. Not a creation of the Gorgon Brawl, but rather something from a faraway land, something ancient that comes to reclaim the secrets stolen by the Cana. Regardless, I've yet to see this lord, but that doesn't stop many from chasing their way out of the city.
It's unfortunate. There are many places for our kind here, if only you're willing to look.
I admire your optimism. I do. Smith would like you. But I can hardly blame my people for wanting something better than what is being provided here. You've seen them, I'm sure, when you came down. Those crowds jeering above. And 17 kind of grumbles. Why do you tolerate them? Why are they allowed to congregate like that and jeer at us? Is it not enough that we serve the people of Sharn? Shamefully in my mind, but to see us burdened with their needs, apparently that is not enough. They would see us driven from the walls, from the city itself. Why are they allowed to stay there? And Blue kind of sighs. Well, they are protected and funded. It is no coincidence that the protests continue.
Have you tried talking to the protesters? Do you think if they got to know you, they would still feel the way they do?
It is not easy to negotiate with those that would spit on you.
Nothing worth doing is easy.
No, perhaps not. But even if I could convert a few, I don't think that they would leave, not when they're being backed by Nolan Toramak.
Who's that?
He is the counselor here in the Cogs. And ironically, he is no friend of ours.
Counselor Toranak?
Toranak. Nolan Toranak. It is no secret that he hates the Forged.
Then how is he the counselor of us?
He is the counselor of the Cogs, not of the Warforged. His role is to make sure that the machines keep turning, and he views us as expendable tools to ensure that that continues.
But if we refuse to keep the cogs turning, what power does he have?
We may be the preferred choice, as the heat of the Cogs is nothing to us. But there are plenty in Sharn who would work. The refugees of Seer pour out of high walls. They are destitute. They would pick work.
So, Stepper, she worked in the cogs?
Yes. One of many.
Where? Where did she work?
Well, here in Blackbones, but it's not exactly as if every station is labeled. Landmarks are few and far between here in the Cogs, but she was here. And I will say that you are aware that Blackbones is a region of the Cogs, particularly the region beneath Havoc's Landing, and that is still a large area.
Right.
There is the Blackbones here. There is, I think it's called Ash Black, on the western side of Sharn, the western side of the Cogs. So she worked locally, but it's not exactly as if she can give you the name of this station here where she worked or something like that.
Right. So I don't. It's not going to be worth my time to like look around where she worked, kind of thing. It's just tons of Warforged moving stuff around, kind of thing.
The work is assigned to us on a daily basis. It is not always in the same places. The machines must keep turning, and we are expected to adapt to whatever role we are assigned for the day. Much of the management is done by House Ghallanda.
Kind of wince at the name House Ghallanda, because they're I've had some history with them.
As have all Warforged.
So how would I go about finding where Stepper was the day that she has disappeared? Today? Are there records? Who gives the orders?
Well, I suppose you could find what's the word for that? The foreman who was working, but well, what did you see in the messenger?
She was in a room illuminated by orange light, and then we saw one of the two dragon mark twins, the Denieths. They're with her in the room.
I'm afraid I don't know them, but it's not surprising. House Denieth travels into the Cogs often.
For what purpose?
They are regularly contracted. The Cogs are not an entirely safe place. The Dakani and Droam immigrants reside in Cogs Gate, the space between Ash Black and Blackbones. It can be dangerous. The materials being shipped and moved through the Cogs are often requiring guards. That is what House Denieth does.
So 17, how would we find these Denieths? I feel like this is our last lead at this point.
It's not the blade. That material, that is no common sword. And something tells me Smith may be able to help us.
Smith, the one rebuilding that person over there?
That's him. Just try to tune out his preaching.
I'll listen to anyone who has something to say.
Well, Smith has no shortage of that.
Should we go? We walk over to Smith and I say, hey, introduce me to your friend.
Wait,
The 17.
oh, you say to 17 introduce me to Smith. Okay, all right, yeah, I was a little confused. And as you walk up, the Forged will look up at you. He is what you know to be an M class. Again, a little smaller than you, but bulky still, and much larger than S3R. You know that the scout models are the sleekest and most nimble, meant to be a little stealthier.
Mm.
And as you approach, he looks up from the repairs he's doing. You can see that the hand of this Forged sitting before him has been crushed, and he is taking a hammer and tapping it out, tapping the dents out, bending the fingers back into place and repairing the hand. And as you approach, he looks up and says, 17. Blessings of Onaton. I have not seen you here in quite some time. Perhaps I have grown weary of your prattling. Perhaps you have. But something brings you. Let me just finish up here, he says as he taps in. He says, how is that? Is that better? And the Forged squeezes his fingers together, turns the hand back and forth. Yes, Smith. It's much more effective now. Thank you. He says, it is my duty to maintain. And my pleasure. Now go. And the Forged stands up, looks at the two of you, kind of shuffles past. So, what has brought you back into the Cogs?
We're looking for someone. My name is Rusty, by the way. Pleasure to meet you.
I'm Smith. Pleasure, monk. He sticks his hand up.
Shake. We do.
Oh. The class.
That's the Warforged thing.
Yeah, sure. After all, I believe if I recall, the pictures show that you have not 5 fingers, right? Isn't it like?
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, it's particularly good at that webbing. Warforged never missed the webbing. There's a lot of webbing. Yeah, you clasp together.
It makes that big resounding sound.
Yeah. He says, strengthen your arm, brother.
Strengthen your arm as well. We're here looking for someone. We thought you might be able to help. And I pull out the messenger again.
I see. It's serious then.
It seems that way.
And whose is that?
This belongs to Stepper. I don't know if you know them, but I've seen the vision, and in the vision, we saw a blade of some uncommon material. And I think the key to finding her might be in identifying this material.
Stepper. She was a willful one. Perhaps explored a little too deep for her own good. She took to the Cogs well, though. I think she likes the shadows.
That was always her way.
Well, let me take a look then.
I give him the thing.
And he'll insert it behind his head as you did before. And you can see his eyes, the glow sort of become muted and become a flat white color, as you can tell that his vision has been taken It's filled with this image which you saw before. And he says, This is troubling. But yes, I know that material, or at least I've heard of it. I don't know the making of it myself, but there is another here. Not all in the cogs are forged. There is a smithy here.
Any relation?
I am called Smith, though I do not do commercial work. I hold no storefront. They call me Smith because of my dominion. I am the priest of Anatar's tears.
A priest of what faith?
I worship the sovereign Anatar, the Smith. I believe he created all of us forged for a purpose, a noble one, that we have yet to find.
I have met my creator, and I know he was no deity.
There are few forged who recall their exit from the forge. You must have had a rough time of it.
So how do we find this smithy?
Well, tell you the way. You're looking for Antos Kelderin, Dwarven Smith. He's not exactly a retailer. He does quite a bit of work. One of the only independents down here in the Cogs.
Does he run a storefront? Or is he a more word-of-mouth business? I know that is the trend these days.
He has a smith, but he works by contract, providing materials, arms in bulk. He does not have customers coming to his... It is not a storefront. There are few who would journey into the Cogs, save for those who come to visit the pool, or us forged coming to work, or Antos, I suppose.
What is pool?
You're breaking up a little bit. Hold on. Looks clear now. I'm sorry, say that again?
You mentioned the pool. What is the pool?
The pool of Anatar's tears. It is my responsibility to maintain them. They are a blessing, hidden woe, deep beneath the city. And if you'd like, you can make a religion check.
Yeah, let's do that. Religion. Another -1. 4.
I'm afraid not, but you can ask him about it.
How did you get the tears of Anatar if he is, what you say, a god?
I am not sure if they are actual manifestations of the divine, but they were discovered long ago here by the lavas beneath Sean, a pool of clear water, cool and calming amidst all that heat and smoke. And it has been found that great works can be made, blades that are tempered in the pool, are fantastic design. It has become a holy site among you, and it is my great honor to maintain that site.
You think the blade in the vision was tempered in this pool?
No. No, I've never seen a blade like that. But Antos and I speak sometimes of the smith. And he told me that he has been working with a strange material, like crystal.
And it sounds like Antos is the one we should be speaking to. How do we find this dwarf?
I could tell you where his forge is. It would take less than an hour to get there.
Will you?
Of course. Do you believe Stepper still lives?
I can only hope. It takes a lot to get rid of one of our kind.
We are resilient. Well, there's no need to lose hope yet.
Hope is all we have.
Well, go then. And he'll give you direction. He's not exactly going to draw out a map. And it is confusing as he describes the twists and turns necessary. But 17 is there, and this is not his first time in the Cogs. And he'll nod along as he listens. And you feel confident that you have the directions necessary to get there.
All right, then I think we should head out as soon as possible. If Stepper is alive, I intend to keep her that way. Time is of the essence.
Agreed. Which was why I didn't think you needed to bring those suitcases upstairs. But I'll settle for the fact that you're here now.
Spoken like a man who's never worked a real job in his life. I say kind of jestingly.
And he'll go to the door. He'll go to the door, and as you're leaving, Blue will raise her hand up and say, "You're always welcome at the Red Hammer."
Thank you. I shall be visiting soon.
Good. And bring Stepper back with you.
I intend to. And we head out.
And you'll follow the twisting paths through.
Take a left
deeper.
at the big rock.
Yeah, left, right, left. A lot of it is corridors that blend together. They're manufactured mostly, and while occasionally it will open into grander areas onto the floor of one of these industrial areas where you can see massive piles of coal being parted through and the like, and smoke billowing up. Much of these corridors all blend together, but you hold to the directions that are given to you until you reach the forge. Once, similar to the Red Hammer, it is sort of built into one of these hallways into the earth, and it is simply labeled the Keldoran Forge. And as you step inside, you can see a multitude of shields, weapons, armor. It's not on display, but it is on racks organized. This is not a shop front. It is a warehouse and a forge, and you can hear the crackling of the forge in the back. And as you come in, you hear a voice calling from further down. Just a minute. We'll be right with you.
J17 real quick. Is there anything I should know about this dwarf before we meet him?
Not met him before. If he's a friend of Smith's, then I see no reason to doubt him. He is a craftsman, is all.
All right.
And you'll move a little deeper into the shop. Go ahead.
Do my eyebrows to make me look as friendly as possible. So when I'm talking to non-Warforged, I always try and put on the most presentable face I possibly can.
You put on your best face, literally.
Put on my best face.
Yeah. You know, that's what you should get. You should get a metallic mustache replica to simulate the form of a mouth. Yeah, you put on you do what you think is the proper eyebrow position for friendly.
Do I have to roll for that?
I don't know what it would be. Performance, maybe? Sure.
Performance, roll an eyebrow check.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, that's a 19.
You really got it where it counted. Yeah, you get those eyebrows into I don't know what it is, but it's whatever shape that they take when you know what people say. They say that a smile is in your eyes, and part of whatever's in your eyes is in your eyebrows.
I'm smizing right now.
Yeah. I don't know. You flatten them out. You arch it on one corner. I don't know what happy eyebrows are, but you make them.
I nailed it.
Yeah. And as you move your way further into the storefront, towards the back of the shop, you see leaning into forge and reaching in with a pair of tongs, a clean-shaven dwarf with braided blonde hair pulled tight behind his neck. He reaches into the forge in front of him and turns this blade. And as you approach, he looks up and faces you both for a moment. You can see his face is reddened from the heat of the forge. There's a little bit of skin peeling on his nose as if he was sunburned. And his eyes, he kind of looks you both up and down. You're quite tall, especially to him. And he looks you up and down, and his eyes linger for a moment. And then he says, "You're here too soon. It's not ready yet." As he turns back to the forge. Make an insight check.
10.
And his eyes definitely lingered on something as he was looking at 17.
Greetings. My name is Rusty. We were sent here by Smith. We were told you are a great craftsman, and we have need of your service.
And he's kind of twisting the blade in the forge idly. Smith sent you, aye? Well, I am a craftsman, aye, but don't exactly open to the public. Mostly I just take contracts.
We have a question about a certain material. I guess we can't really show him the thing, so I guess we have to describe it to him.
So, he is no Warforged.
There's a blade I have a question about. Its appearance seems not of metal, but rather of crystal.
Aye. Wonder Smith sent you to me. I was telling him about that. Not just crystal, prize steel. Strange material. Only started working with it a few months ago. Never heard of it before, but it certainly does make beautiful blades.
And are you the only one who knows how to work this material, or is it common in these parts?
At this point, he kind of squints at you both. So, you're not here for the shipment?
I'm here about no shipment. I'm here to find a friend. And hopefully make another.
He smiles a little. Well, that's mighty kind of you. But I have to wonder, why is House Ghallanda knocking on my door when they know that nothing will be ready for another week?
I do not speak for House Ghallanda, and I show the sigil on my business cards of House Ghallanda.
He'll look at 17. And what of you? I am a blade mark in the service of the house. Are you saying that others have been here before? He goes. He gets a bit of a look on his face, and he says, I'm not really sure what's going on, but if you're coming to me from the house and you've got no awareness of the contract that I have open with House Ghallanda, then I have to ask, who exactly has sent you here?
No one has sent us other than Smith. We are simply looking for a friend in who we believe is in great danger.
And who is that?
Her name is Stepper.
Oh. Hi, Stepper. And his initial reaction is pleasant until he realizes what you just said. She's a decent sort. Been by this shop a few times. Brings in some of the iron after she's done work in it. Good lass.
Well, unfortunately, she has gone missing. And the last clue we have is the one who took her wielded in a sword of this crystal.
Well, I have been providing blades made of Christ steel to the House Ghallanda. I got that contract a few months ago. Probably made about 5 shipments now.
Only for House Ghallanda?
Well, I make the blades. I don't know if they sell them to others.
What makes this material different than others?
Now that's an interesting question. See, I had never heard of Christ steel before. But when the house came to me, they offered me a scheme, blueprint of how to make it. They bring me the materials. It's an alloy of crystal and iron. I make blades, swords, and axes, but sometimes just sheets of the stuff, raw material. Well, less raw after I've smelted them.
And it is a superior material to iron?
Definitely superior to iron. That's the whole point of an alloy. Perhaps a little brittle, being crystalline, but it's been solidified, fortified by the iron. And I'm sure it has its own properties.
Do you know of the Dragonmark twins?
Twins?
Lalia and Tazra.
Tazra's who opened the contract with me.
So that is where she got the blade.
I've been making them for the house for several months now, yes. Did seem a bit odd. You'd think that for a raw production like this, especially with such rare materials, surprised they didn't go to Caneth for it. But I'll take work if it's offered to me, and to be honest with you, it's a pleasure to work with something exotic.
Couldn't agree more. So, how do you get in contact with Tazra Dedenieth? Do you speak with her directly?
Only when she's here, which was just when she negotiated the contract. Other members of the house have come to collect. Of course, it wasn't my first time working with House Ghallanda. Like anyone in the Cogs, we all need protection for our shipments. Both materials coming in and goods going out, especially if they have to pass through Kyber's Gate.
What happens in Kyber's Gate?
Well, that's where all the goblins and the beasts from Droam are. Dask. If you haven't got the protection of the house, you're really taking quite a gamble to send your goods through there. The Watch don't come down here. They don't care if, well, no offense, but they're not going to go looking into the fate of some forged lost beneath the city.
Well, that's why we're here. We look out for our own.
That's good.
I guess I talked to J17 now. Say, so where do we go from here?
Well, we have a little bit more now. We can place Tazra in the Cogs at least once. We know that she has a reason to be down here. These shipments of this cry steel, I wasn't aware of it. I'm not sure if this is...
You're a part of their house, no? Do they not share with you what they're doing?
The blade marks are only one branch of House Ghallanda. In fact, we are mostly a collection of mercenaries. Up in Tavok's Landing, where I'm stationed, in the Copper Arch is the Three Toms. Only one houses the blade marks. The others are for the Ghallanda. Sure, I've seen them training in the yards, but I do not brush shoulders with the dragon mark like Tazra.
Do you know of anyone who does?
Sure, there are many in the towers. Speaking to them could be possible, but trying to broach this issue, it would be difficult enough for me, who's been working with them for years. You, an allegation like this would not go over well, coming from a stranger. No, I think pursuing our lead within House Ghallanda should be left to me. You should look into the matter of Dast. That section, that was Kyber's Gate, I'm sure.
Dask is the one that raided the anvil, right?
It is.
Then is this where we part ways for now, brother?
Perhaps so. I'll do my best. I am going to need to be delicate. It's not exactly my strong suit. But I have some friends within the house. I have to be careful. It's possible things Tazer is doing here are sanctioned, or maybe not.
Well, you know where to find me. If you ever need backup, I will always have your back.
Thank you, 16.
I just hope I don't have to receive a final messenger from you at the end of this.
I don't have. They were only issued to the scouts. But why don't you keep that one? Could prove useful.
I will. So, then I guess I'm headed to the anvil.
You could head to the anvil. You could, yeah. You know a Khandra there. You could also return to speak with Rosalind. Either are good contacts that you know are knowledgeable about the anvil.
Right. Oh no, Dask raided the inn. Is that a Warforged faction or is that something else?
I think you flubbed that check earlier, but
yeah,
maybe you want to just ask somebody who's with you, right? You're still in the Caldoran Forge.
Yeah, I'll ask J17 real quick. Oh, by the way, who is Dask?
Collection of Dakani rejects, or perhaps extremists. They call themselves the Dar. Goblins and hobgoblins, bugbears. But also the creatures of Droan, where the monsters have created a union, declared themselves a country, which I'm sure King Breland is not happy about.
You think this is related to Stepper's disappearance?
I think that if Dask was involved, that would be unusual. Because the reason that Dask did not attack Denieth escorted shipments through Kyber's gates is not just because they are tough marks. It's because Denieth sometimes gives mercenary work to the Dakani Wars. Now, the Dakani and Dask are not necessarily the same group, but they overlap. It is a mutual beneficial arrangement. So if Stepper was in Kyber's was attacked by Tazra, well, I'm not sure what. If I don't believe Dask would attack Tazra, but perhaps she saw something, some arrangement between them. I'm not sure.
You think there's a reason she disappeared? That she saw too much?
I don't know why Tazra would simply execute some forged in Cogs. It makes no sense. But she is known to specialize in negotiations, not just with Dask, but with the various criminal elements in the city. Her sister is a tracker.
Her sister?
Tazra, not Stepper's sister, Tazra's sister.
Lalia, right?
Mm-hmm. If it is in fact Tazra, that is what makes me suspect Dask is involved. It is her forte to work in the negotiations with them.
Then I shall head to Tazra's or to Kyber's Gate.
That would be a very dangerous thing to go alone.
Is there a way to... Actually, I think I'm going to go to Rosalind first. I think that's my plan. I'm going to get some advice.
Okay. Do you have anything else for Antos Kildoran?
I don't think so. Maybe I show him my hammer just to kind of try and bond with him because I think he's a good connection to have.
As you... Go ahead, tell me about it.
So it's like, do you ever have one of those like action figures whose like hands like flip like 180 degrees? His hand just disappears. All of a sudden, a big ass giant warhammer appears in his hand.
It comes out of the arm and rotates, hiding your hand within your arm pretty seamlessly. And as you do so, he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, look at that. Now that. Oh, you could hammer a fine blade off of that thing, right?"
Just let me know if you're ever in need of a giant hammer. I will be here for you.
How does it work? He says, and he kind of takes your arm and pulls it up as he starts looking at some of the hinge, I guess, or not really a hinge, the swivel, the point of swiveling where this hammer swings back and forth, and he's examining your arm trying to find that point. He goes, "That's remarkable. It's worked into the steel and the ligaments connected from the dark wood. I can't say I've ever worked with an organic material like that before. You forged. I'll never understand exactly how you've been created."
Nevertheless, we are here. We're here to help.
Indeed. Listen, Stepper was a good sort. I hope you can find her.
I hope so as well. And then I bow and head on out.
He'll give a little nod in response to the bow. 17 will guide you to help you get back up to the surface. I think, am I crazy? Did we go like 2 hours after that break? I think we did, almost.
Something like that.
Yeah, we're closing in on the end here, but let's go ahead and take a couple minutes, and then we'll finish up when we come in.
Cool.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to put up the BRB screen. Everybody stay tuned, and we will be back in just like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, we are back. All right. Having heard of a mysterious deal between Azra Denieth and Antos Kelderin, a dwarven smith deep within the Blackbones cogs underneath Sharn, producing a rare material called Crysteel. J17D. I keep forgetting the last letter. He's J17D,
what does the D stand
right?
for? I forgot what the D stands for.
I think it's Defender. Whatever you made up. It's a letter. I don't know if it stands for. We agreed that J stands for Juggernaut, and I think the rest is just it's like a serial number. I don't know if it necessarily all means something. J17D has agreed to continue his inquiry amongst the members of House Ghallanda that he trusts, while he has tasked you with investigating the Dask angle, the criminal organization that controls most of Kyber's Gate and has been seeping, it seems, up into the city.
Yeah, they attacked one of the inns, the Anvil.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made incursions. So right now, I'm going to go to get advice, like I usually do, from my most trusted friend, Rosalind.
And as you emerge from Black Bones back into Cogs Gate, with the help of 17, for it is a long and twisting path back up, you see that the travel time, I mean, moving from where you were in Upper Central down to Lower Tavok's Landing, just the journey through the city alone takes quite a bit of time, probably over an hour. The city itself is a labyrinth. It's a city that has just endlessly built upon itself to the point where it has become nonsensical to traverse, which is why those who can afford to would much rather just hire a sky coach to take them from point A to point B directly, rather than having to go down one tower, take a bridge over to the other tower, and then take a bridge to the next one, and then go back up a little bit so that you can get to this plateau here, and then take a main bridge over to the next district, and then take a lift down to a lower ward. That is what it is like to travel through the city, and that is what you are doing now, presumably.
Like New York City, the rich have helipads.
A lot crazier than New York City. Imagine if New York City was 3 times as high and you literally couldn't see the sun anymore. For on the lower wards, it would be a rare treat if you're standing in just the right spot and it's noon, that you can see the sun shining down through a network of leaning towers and these bridges and plateaus. It would be a rare treat to see direct sunlight down here on the lower wards. So it takes some time, and in fact, it's getting quite late. It's definitely sundown by the time you arrive once more at the Grey Dragon Inn in Upper Central.
I just walk in the front door, still wearing my uniform.
I forgot, which is definitely showing signs of your journey into Black Bones. There is that sort of sulfurous smoke that's just kind of ever present down there. Your uniform has definitely been stained a little bit with ambient soot and smog.
Right. I go back up to Felon at the desk. Say, I'm back. Unfortunately, I cannot return to work right now. I need to speak to Rosalind. Do you know where she is?
Rusty, it's okay. I already told you could take the day. But yeah, Rosalind's in her office.
Then I will go speak to her. Then I do another deep bow. And then I head off to Rosalind's.
Yeah, and it's you know where it is. You've been there before. This is the place where you initially met with her when you were hired here, or transferred here is perhaps more the term, as you were technically already working for House Ghallanda.
Knock on the door. See if she's in.
Yes, you can come in. The door's open.
It's me. It's Rusty.
Oh, come in, Rusty.
All right, go on in.
Rusty, good to see a friendly face. I'm afraid things have been a little tough today.
I know I had to take time off. I'm deeply ashamed. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, not in the dragon. The dragon's been fine.
The bags
Felon
didn't
told
pile
me.
up?
Perhaps at the busy moments there was slight weight, but Felon helped.
I'll make it up to you.
I'm sure you will, Rusty.
Rosalind, I need your help.
Oh? What can I do?
A friend of mine has gone missing, and I'm trying to find her.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Her name was Stepper, and we received a final message from her. And it seems something bad has happened to her.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry. Oh. What is it that I can do?
Well, it seems a little bit out of my depth at the moment, and I'm looking for some advice of what to do. You see, she's been, looks like Tazra of House Ghallanda is responsible for her disappearance. And it also seems that she has been working with the Dask down at Cogs Gate.
Rusty, I would be careful about making such allegations. Now,
Well, what we know is that she was Tazra was there in Stepper's last moments of recorded moments, and I show her the. I don't know if she knows what the final messenger is or not.
I'm gonna say probably not.
Okay, good. I'll just explain it to her and show her what it is, and be like, her last thing she saw was Tazra Ghallanda standing over her with a cry-steel sword.
Okay. What are you asking me for?
I don't know what to do. For my whole life, I've followed orders, and now I need to give myself an order, and I don't know what that order is.
She smiles a little bit. Yes. You've always been shockingly timid. Like, you're 7 feet tall, and you shrink yourself whenever somebody comes in here. You know, it's okay to stand up straight, tall, and make your own choice.
Figuring I stand up straighter and the uniform rips in half.
And it bursts you. Oh, well, that's not exactly the first time. I have to make one special for you, I think.
I'll try. I'll slouch better next time. I promise.
No, don't. House Ghallanda is. They are an important institution. They are relied upon by many of the merchants in the upper wards. House Ghallanda works with them regularly for protection, not often in Sean, but in many places they have established relations with Dragoon, and in some ways have made good progress bringing the acceptance of some of the less fortunate races. House Ghallanda is a monolith, Rusty, as are all of the dragon-marked houses. Opposing them will be difficult.
But not impossible.
Without support, I'd say impossible.
Then my first order of business shall be to prove what I'm saying. I need more information.
Well, what leads have you?
Well, we know the Dask has attacked the Anvil recently.
Yes. A bold move.
Maybe their boldness was caused by the fact that they had support of someone like the Denieth.
Perhaps. Although, it's my understanding that this was not a random attack. According to Councillor Thavin, there was a deal being made in the Anvil that night. I'm not sure. She's a secretive sort, but it seems that Boromar was brokering a shipment of some kind. Standard practice for the clan.
What type of shipment?
I'm not sure. I don't like to ask these sorts of questions. My meeting with them was more concerned with the protection of the Anvil and our Ghallanda employees there, not to mention any patrons within. That is my primary concern.
As is mine.
Dask must want whatever it is, quite badly. I think, Rusty, you're a good boy, and I hate to see you working with an organization like the Boromar. They provide protection in places like Lower Dura, but I'm not sure if we would need it if the clan hadn't been so well established over the last few decades. What I can do is I can write you a letter of introduction and send you to Thora. She's used to working with freelancers, mercenaries. She deals with the Clifftop Guild in Upper Dura frequently.
You work at the Anvil? Or is she part of House Boromar?
No. Thora is the counselor of Upper Dura.
Thora
Tavin. The one,
right.
Counselor Tavin, that was there earlier.
That would be most appreciated. However, I fear I may miss more time off work.
Oh, Rusty. You've done your best and tried quite hard. And I was happy to appoint you here because I could tell it meant a lot to you. But even my job is to see the strengths of those around me and to utilize them as best as I can. You have a kind heart, and I want to help you find your place. But your talents are being wasted here, Rusty.
What do you mean?
You do your duties sufficiently, respectfully. But I did not bring you here because I needed someone to carry luggage up and down a bunch of staircases. I brought you because you seemed uncomfortable at the Anvil, and I knew that your desire was earnest. But you can do much more than being a simple bellhop.
There's nothing simple about the job.
Oh, Rusty. It only seems complicated because you're constantly worrying about how everyone views you and whether you're doing everything just the right way. It is a simple job. It's you who makes it complicated.
There's the whole mint thing. I have to remember the room numbers.
Yes.
I've been doing well. I have a consistent 3-star rating from the customers. That's almost 5.
I don't place much stock in those ratings. Our clientele here are often off-put by anything that they consider out of the ordinary. I can tell that this is important to you. Don't worry about coming in to work. Consider this a new position.
Am I being promoted?
Yes. You are being given the freedom to define your new position in House Ghallanda. An envoy of sorts.
I'm not an envoy class.
Oh? I didn't know that they made those. That was a good one.
I should introduce you to my friend E14.
It would be my pleasure, I'm sure. A large role of House Ghallanda is networking. That can happen with the other dragon-marked houses or with political figures like Councillor Tavin. You can be a part of that.
So Rusty's eyes light up and go, I am now a brand ambassador.
Okay. She'll say, just be an ambassador for yourself as well.
I will try.
Good. Now let me write. And she'll pull out parchment, grab out a quill, and start making notes. And within a minute or two, she's given you a letter of introduction. And it is addressed to Councillor Thora Tavin. And her home is in Upper Dura, in the, let's look at the districts. What is that one? In Highwater. Which wouldn't take terribly long for you to get to from where you are. You're in Platinum Heights right now. Yeah, it's actually not too far away.
And I will go and speak with Thora. Thank you for your advice, as always, Rosalind. I will not let you down as a brand ambassador.
I don't think you could if you tried, Rusty.
I would never try to let you down.
No, I don't think you would. Go on. she'll give you a little pat. You're doing great. kind of gently, very encouragingly
Shoos me out
you out of the room. Like,
so, as I leave, I don't bow. Rosalind's the one person I don't bow to. Instead, I do this to do the Warforged secret handshake with her.
The secret handshake. And she goes, and she puts her hand out. And she kind of, and you can see that as you do this, you pull her off the ground a little bit for a moment. She kind of, but she clasps on, and her whole hand is just wrapped around basically your big thumb. So like her hand is tiny compared to yours, and she just kind of grabs that, and you basically pull her off her feet for a second. She doesn't like fall over or anything, but she tries to grasp it as hard as she can. She goes, "Thank you, Steve. It's a good Warforged custom. I'll try to remember that for when our Warforged patrons come. I'm sure they will in time."
They will. All right, then I'm gonna head on out. I'm gonna stop back at the front desk. Talk to
Thelen.
What's his name again?
I think it's Thelen.
Thelen.
I should really write it down. It's
Thelen. Yeah, I'm gonna go up to him and I'm gonna bring the tatters of my uniform to him and be like, "I need a new uniform."
Rusty, are you just gonna bust through it again?
No.
Roll a deception check. Roll. That's BS.
19. I've been promoted. I need a new uniform. I've been promoted to brand ambassador. I know this guy is just like the guy at the front desk, but to Rusty, he's like the head of the hotel just because he's at the desk.
Yeah, you basically treat everyone like they're your boss.
Yeah.
You've been incredibly deferential to all of your coworkers. I mean, you were asking him to fire you earlier. He's not really your superior.
He does not have that authority.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's probably a step up from bellhop, but he's not your boss. Oh, so not just a replacement uniform, something different?
Yes, one position higher. I have been promoted.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'll tell you what. How about this? And he'll reach in the desk below and pull through a couple of drawers and ruffle through them, and he'll pull out not a uniform, but just a pin with the blink dog of House Ghallanda. Now, a true brand ambassador needs to have the freedom to express our brand in the way that they see fit. So it's not a uniform, just a badge.
I'm visibly not happy with this because I love the uniform. Can I at least keep the hat?
If you like.
All right, and I put the pin on the hat, like those classic round bellhop hats.
Is there a tassel on it?
Yeah, of course there's a tassel on it. Put a pin through it. Like dog.
And you are prepared with your Ghallanda cap. And you make your way out, and you can begin to head towards Thora's mansion, which is where we will pick up for our next session.
Oh, so got a promotion this episode. Met some new friends.
Yes, and a little bit of intrigue. Very good. Thank you to everyone who came and hang out. I will remind you that Eberron the Fifth Age's regular time will be Sundays at 5:30. It's just while we've been going through these prologues that we've been doing Saturdays. So don't forget to check in. And if some of you tuned in late, the full episode will be uploaded to YouTube with the same name, Gaming Mandroid. is the YouTube channel where you can find it there. And that's where we'll see you. All right. That is the end of the session.
Cool.